I never thought a single moment could rewrite your entire existence. But that's exactly what happened the night I walked in on Ethan crying in our living room at 2:47 a.m. The apartment was supposed to be empty. Ethan had texted me hours earlier saying he'd be staying at his girlfriend Claire's place. I'd gone out with coworkers, had a few drinks, laughed too loud, and stumbled home ready to collapse into bed. The last thing I expected was to find my roommate sitting on our worn leather couch in the dark, his face buried in his hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. For a moment I just stood there in the doorway, keys still jangling in my hand. The only light came from the street lamp outside, casting long shadows across the room. Ethan hadn't heard me come in. He was completely lost in whatever pain was consuming him. "Ethan," my voice came out softer than I intended. His head snapped up, and even in the dim light I could see his eyes were red and swollen. He quickly wiped his face with the back of his hand, trying to compose himself, but it was too late. I'd already seen everything. "Marcus, I thought you were staying out later." His voice cracked on the last word. I closed the door behind me and dropped my keys on the side table. "What's wrong? What happened?" "Nothing, I'm fine, just had a rough night." He turned away from me, but his body was still trembling. I'd known Ethan for 3 years. We'd met during our junior year of college and had been roommates ever since we graduated. In all that time, I'd never seen him like this. Ethan was the guy who had it all together, the golden retriever personality, always smiling, always optimistic. He was the one who made friends with everyone at parties, who remembered birthdays, who left encouraging notes on the fridge when you had a bad day. This broken person in front of me was someone I didn't recognize. "Ethan," I walked over and sat down next to him, close enough that our knees almost touched. "Talk to me, please." He let out a long, shuddering breath. "Claire broke up with me." "What, when?" "Tonight, a few hours ago," he laughed bitterly. "Actually, broke up isn't quite accurate. She told me she's been sleeping with someone else for the past 4 months. A guy from her gym said she's in love with him." My stomach dropped. "Jesus, Ethan, I'm so sorry." "You want to know the worst part?" He finally looked at me, and the devastation in his eyes made my chest tight. I wasn't even surprised. Some part of me already knew. I could feel her pulling away, making excuses not to see me, being distant, but I just kept telling myself I was being paranoid, that I was being insecure. He ran his hands through his dark hair, making it stand up in messy spikes. "I'm such an idiot." "You're not an idiot, she's the one who." "I told her I loved her last week." His voice broke again. "I actually said those words to her face while she was actively cheating on me. God, Marcus, how pathetic is that?" Without thinking, I reached out and put my hand on his shoulder. "You're not pathetic, you're human. You trusted someone you cared about. That's not a weakness." He looked down at where my hand rested on his shoulder, and something flickered across his face, an expression I couldn't quite read. Then he did something that surprised me. He leaned into my touch, letting his head fall against my shoulder. We sat like that for a long moment, silent except for his occasional shaky breaths. I could smell his cologne, something woodsy and warm that I'd grown so familiar with over the years that I barely noticed it anymore. But tonight, in this moment of vulnerability, I was acutely aware of everything. The weight of his head on my shoulder, the warmth of his body next to mine, the way his hand had somehow found its way to my knee, gripping it like an anchor. "I don't want to be alone tonight," he whispered. "I know that's asking a lot, but I can't be alone right now." "You're not asking anything." I shifted slightly so I could put my arm around him properly. "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere." He lifted his head and looked at me, then really looked at me, and something in the air between us shifted. It was subtle, like the moment before a storm when the pressure changes and you can feel the electricity in the atmosphere. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for not making me feel stupid about this." "Never." We stayed on that couch until the sun came up, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about all the red flags he'd ignored with Claire, and I told him about my own past heartbreaks. We ordered pizza at 4 in the morning from the only place still delivering. We watched terrible late-night TV and made fun of infomercials. And somewhere in those hours, something fundamental changed between us. I just didn't realize it yet. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the living room windows and a crick in my neck that suggested I'd fallen asleep in a very awkward position. It took me a moment to remember where I was, still on the couch, with Ethan's head resting on my chest and my arm wrapped around him. At some point during the night, we'd both dozed off. The TV was still on, playing some morning news show at low volume. An empty pizza box sat on the coffee table next to 2 beer bottles and Ethan's phone, which was face down like he couldn't bear to look at it. I should have moved, should have gently woken him up and extracted myself, but I didn't. Instead, I found myself studying his face in the morning light, the way his eyelashes cast shadows on his cheeks, the slight stubble along his jawline that he'd probably hate because he was always so particular about being clean-shaven, the small scar above his right eyebrow from a skateboarding accident when he was 12. I'd seen Ethan's face 1,000 times before, but this felt different, like I was seeing him, really seeing him for the first time. His eyes fluttered open and for a second he looked confused, then awareness flooded back and I watched the pain return to his expression. "Morning," I said softly. "Morning." He started to pull away, but I tightened my arm around him slightly. "How are you feeling?" He was quiet for a moment, considering, like someone reached into my chest and ripped out a vital organ, but also, he paused, also grateful that you were here. "Always," I said, and meant it more than I'd ever meant anything. He finally sat up, running his hands over his face. "I should probably shower and try to pretend I'm a functional human being. I have work in a few hours." "You're taking the day off," I said firmly. "Call in sick, you've got plenty of time saved up." "Marcus, I can't just." "Yes, you can, Ethan, you just had your heart broken. You're allowed to not be okay for a day." I stood up and stretched, feeling all my joints pop. "I'm calling in sick too, we're going to have a recovery day." "You don't have to do that." "I know I don't have to, I want to." I held out my hand to pull him up off the couch. "Come on, shower, fresh clothes, and then we're getting out of this apartment. We're going to do something completely ridiculous to take your mind off everything." A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, the first genuine one I'd seen since I walked in last night. "Ridiculous like what?" "I don't know yet, but I'll figure something out." An hour later, we were standing outside an indoor trampoline park, looking up at the garish neon sign. "You're kidding," Ethan said, but he was actually smiling now. "You said you wanted ridiculous." I paid for our admission and handed him a pair of the grip socks they required. "Plus, I read somewhere that physical activity releases endorphins or something, so technically this is therapeutic." "You're insane." "Maybe, but you're smiling, so I'm calling it a win." The place was mostly empty on a weekday morning, just us and a few bored-looking teenagers who were probably skipping school. We spent the next 2 hours acting like complete idiots, jumping and flipping and trying to dunk basketballs into the foam pits. Ethan laughed, really laughed for the first time in what I suspected was weeks, not just the night before. At one point, he attempted some elaborate flip and completely face-planted into a wall of foam blocks. I jumped in after him and we ended up in a laughing heap at the bottom of the pit, breathless and ridiculous. "Thank you," he said when we'd finally caught our breath. We were still lying there in the foam, side by side, staring up at the ceiling. "I needed this. Anytime you need to faceplant into foam blocks, I'm your guy." He turned his head to look at me and there was that expression again, the one I couldn't quite read. "No, I mean it, thank you for everything, for last night, for today, for just being you." Our faces were close. Close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his hazel eyes. Close enough that if either of us moved even a few inches. "Hey, you guys planning to camp out in there or what?" One of the teenage employees was standing at the edge of the pit, looking bored and annoyed. We climbed out, slightly embarrassed, and decided to call it a day. The next few weeks fell into a new rhythm. Ethan threw himself into moving on. He deleted Claire from all his social media, packed up the things she'd left at our apartment into a box to return to her, and started going to the gym more often. He seemed determined to prove he was fine. But I could see through it. The forced smiles when someone at work asked about Claire, the way he'd get quiet sometimes, lost in thought, the nights I'd hear him moving around the apartment at 3 a.m., unable to sleep. I became more attuned to him than ever before. I'd bring home his favorite Thai food on bad days. I'd suggest we binge-watch stupid action movies when he seemed down. I'd text him random memes during the day just to make him laugh. And somewhere in all of that, something started to shift inside me. It started with small things. The way my heart would speed up when I heard his key in the door. The way I found myself looking forward to our evenings together more than anything else in my day. The way I'd catch myself staring at him when he wasn't looking, watching the way he'd bite his lip when he was concentrating on his laptop, or the way he'd run his hand through his hair when he was frustrated. One night, about 3 weeks after the breakup, we were cooking dinner together, or rather, I was cooking while Ethan sat on the counter drinking wine and providing commentary. It was something we'd done 100 times before, but tonight felt different. "You're going to burn the garlic," he said, peering into the pan. "I know what I'm doing." "That's what you said last time, and we had to order pizza." "That was one time." "It was 3 times." He was grinning now, that genuine smile that made his whole face light up. "You're a terrible sous chef. You're supposed to support me, not criticize." "I'm helping by preventing you from poisoning us both." He hopped down from the counter and came to stand next to me at the stove. "Here, let me show you." He reached around me to adjust the heat, and suddenly he was right there, his chest pressed against my back, his arm brushing mine, his breath warm on my neck. Everything in me went still. "See," his voice was close to my ear, "medium-low heat, you've got to be patient with it." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Every nerve ending in my body was screaming awareness of how close he was, how perfectly he fit against me, how right it felt to have him there. "Marcus, you okay?" I forced myself to turn around, which was a mistake because now we were face to face, barely inches apart. His eyes searched mine, confused and concerned. "Yeah, I managed. Yeah, I'm fine." But I wasn't fine, because standing there in our kitchen with Ethan looking at me like that, I finally understood what had been building inside me for weeks. I was falling for my best friend. I spent the next few days in a state of quiet panic. This couldn't be happening. Ethan was my best friend, my roommate. He'd just gotten out of a serious relationship with a woman. He was straight. And I was, well, I'd always known I was bisexual, but I'd never told Ethan. It had never seemed relevant before. Now it felt like the most relevant thing in the world. I tried to act normal around him, but I could tell he noticed something was off. He'd catch me starring and I'd quickly look away. I'd make excuses to leave the room when the proximity became too much. I started staying late at work just to avoid the torture of being near him while knowing I couldn't have him. "Okay, what's going on?" Ethan confronted me one Friday evening. I'd just gotten home from work and he was standing in the living room with his arms crossed, looking determined. "You've been avoiding me all week." "I haven't been avoiding you." "Marcus, come on, it's me, talk to me." I set down my bag and tried to figure out what to say. The truth was impossible, but lying to him felt worse. "Is this about Claire?" he asked when I didn't respond. "Because if you're uncomfortable with me being sad all the time, I get it. I know I've been kind of a mess." "What? No, God, no, Ethan, that's not it at all." "Then what is it? Did I do something wrong?" The genuine concern in his voice broke something in me. He thought he'd done something wrong. He thought this was his fault somehow. "You didn't do anything wrong," I said quietly. I've got some stuff I'm working through, personal stuff. It has nothing to do with you." "But you know you can talk to me, right? About anything." He took a step closer. "I mean, you've been there for me through everything. I want to be there for you too." The irony wasn't lost on me. The thing I was dealing with was entirely about him, which made talking to him about it impossible. "I know, and I appreciate that. I just need some time to figure things out." He looked like he wanted to push further, but something in my expression must have told him to let it go. "Okay, but Marcus, whatever it is, we're good, right, you and me?" "Yeah," I said, even though nothing felt good right now, "we're good." That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, replaying every interaction we'd ever had. How had I not seen this coming? All those times my heart had skipped a beat when he smiled. All those moments of wanting to be near him, telling myself it was just friendship. All those years of thinking of him as my person, my safe place, my home. I'd been falling for him the whole time. I'd just been too blind to see it. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Ethan, "Can't sleep, you up?" I should have ignored it, should have protected myself, but I couldn't help it. "Yeah, what's up? Come to the living room." I found him on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, the TV playing some nature documentary on mute. He patted the spot next to him, and like always, I went. "I've been thinking," he said after I settled in beside him, "about us, about our friendship." My heart stopped. "Yeah. These past few weeks, I don't know what I would have done without you. You've been so incredible, Marcus, so patient and kind and just there, always there." He turned to look at me and there was something intense in his gaze. You're the most important person in my life, you know that, right? You're important to me too, I said, and it came out more raw than I intended. I've never had a friend like you, someone who just gets me, who makes everything better just by being around. He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was softer. I keep thinking about how different my life would be if I'd never met you, and honestly, I don't like that version of my life at all. Ethan. I'm not done. He shifted closer, and I could feel the warmth of him even through the blanket. I know you've been going through something this week. I know you said it's personal, but if it has anything to do with me, anything at all, I need you to know that you can tell me, whatever it is, because there's nothing you could say that would change how I feel about you. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with meaning, and suddenly, recklessly, I thought, what if I just told him? What if I just said it out loud? What if, I started, my heart hammering, what if the thing I'm dealing with is about you? His eyes widened slightly. About me. Yeah. Did I hurt you somehow? Because if I... No, you didn't hurt me. I took a deep breath, feeling like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. The opposite, actually. Confusion crossed his face. I don't understand. This was it, the moment that would either change everything or destroy the best friendship I'd ever had. My hands were shaking. Ethan, I think I... His phone rang, shattering the moment. Claire's name flashed on the screen. We both stared at it. I should probably... He picked it up, looking torn between answering and throwing the phone across the room. Go ahead, I said, even though I wanted to grab the phone and chuck it out the window. He answered, Claire. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I watched Ethan's face shift through a dozen emotions: surprise, confusion, pain, and finally something that looked like resignation. Okay, he said quietly. Yeah, tomorrow is fine, I'll be there. When he hung up, he looked dazed. She wants to meet up, he said, to talk. She says she made a mistake, that she misses me. My heart sank into my stomach. Oh. I don't know what to do. I mean, part of me wants to tell her to go to hell, but another part, he trailed off, looking lost, still loves her, I finished for him. I don't know if it's love or just habit or fear of being alone, or... He ran his hands through his hair in frustration. God, I'm so confused about everything right now. You should meet with her, I heard myself say, even though every fiber of my being was screaming not to. Get closure at least, figure out what you actually want. What I want, he repeated, looking at me intently. What were you about to say before, about me? I couldn't do it, not now, not when she was back in his life messing with his head, not when there was a chance he might go back to her. Just that I'm here for you, I said, whatever you need, whatever you decide. He looked like he wanted to argue, to push me to finish what I'd started, but then he just nodded and pulled me into a hug. Thank you, he whispered against my shoulder, for everything. I held him close, memorizing the feeling of his body against mine because I had a horrible feeling things were about to change again, and not in the way I wanted. Ethan met with Claire the next day at a coffee shop downtown. I spent the entire time at home, packing the apartment like a caged animal, checking my phone every 30 seconds. When he finally came home 4 hours later, his face was unreadable. So, I asked, trying to sound casual and failing miserably. He dropped onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. She wants to get back together. My world tilted, and... She cried, said she made a horrible mistake, that she doesn't love the other guy, that she realizes I'm what she wants. He laughed bitterly. Apparently having someone actually care about you is pretty rare, and she didn't realize what she had until she lost it. I didn't know what to say. The selfish part of me wanted to trash talk her, but I forced it down. That's a lot. Yeah, he sat up and looked at me. She asked if we could try again, take it slow, go to couples counseling, rebuild the trust. Do you want to? That's the question, isn't it? He stood up and started packing. 3 weeks ago, if she'd asked me this, I would have said yes in a heartbeat, but now... He stopped and turned to face me. Now I don't know what I want anymore, everything feels different. Different how? Different like, he seemed to be struggling for words. Like I spent so long trying to make something work that wasn't working, and now that I'm out of it, I can see how much energy I was wasting. How much of myself I was giving up just to keep her happy. You deserve someone who doesn't make you give up parts of yourself, I said quietly. See, that's the thing? He walked over to where I was sitting and crouched down in front of me so we were at eye level. These past few weeks with you have felt more real, more right than my entire relationship with Claire, and I can't figure out if that's just because you're my best friend or if it's something. Something. My heart was in my throat. More, he finished, his eyes searching mine. Last night you were about to tell me something about me. What was it? I could lie, could play it off as nothing, could protect myself from the potential fallout. Or I could be brave. I was going to tell you that I have feelings for you, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. That somewhere along the way my best friend became something more to me, that I can't stop thinking about you, can't imagine my life without you in it, can't breathe when you're too close because all I want to do is. He kissed me. It was soft and tentative at first, like a question. But when I kissed him back, when I finally let myself kiss him back, it was like something inside both of us broke open. His hands came up to cup my face and I pulled him closer, 3 years of unspoken feelings pouring into that kiss. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. That, he whispered, that's what I was trying to figure out. Ethan. I kept telling myself what I was feeling was just friendship, just gratitude for you being there when Claire left, but then you'd look at me a certain way or smile or just exist in the same room and I'd feel like I couldn't breathe. His thumb traced my cheekbone. I've never felt this way about a guy before, I didn't even think I could, but it's not about you being a guy, Marcus, it's about you being you. What about Claire? Claire is my past and I need to let her go completely. He pulled back slightly to look at me properly. But I need you to understand something. I'm not doing this because I'm rebounding or confused or trying to figure myself out. I'm doing this because when she asked me to get back together, all I could think was, but what about Marcus? My heart felt too big for my chest. Really? Really? He smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I think I've been falling for you for a while now, I was just too stupid to realize it. We've both been pretty stupid, I said and kissed him again. This time was different, deeper, more certain. This was us choosing each other deliberately and completely. When we broke apart again, I couldn't help but laugh. What? He asked, grinning. I walked in on you crying 3 weeks ago and now we're kissing on the living room floor. This is insane. The best kind of insane. He stood up and pulled me to my feet. So what do we do now? I think, I said, lacing my fingers through his, we figure it out together, one day at a time. I like that plan, he tugged me closer, but for right now can we just stay like this for a while? So we did. We stayed tangled together on that couch, talking and kissing and laughing until the sun went down and the apartment filled with shadows. And for the first time in weeks, maybe years, everything felt exactly right. The next few weeks were a blur of discovery and adjustment. We didn't tell anyone at first, not because we were ashamed, but because we wanted to figure out what we were to each other before dealing with everyone else's opinions. Dating your best friend and roommate was a unique kind of wonderful chaos. There was no commute to see each other, no planning dates weeks in advance, but there was also no escape when things got complicated. And things did get complicated. The first fight happened about 2 weeks in. We were making dinner together, something that used to be easy and natural but now had this added layer of tension. Not bad tension, exactly, but the kind that came from still learning how to be together in this new way. You're doing it again, Ethan said, watching me chop vegetables. Doing what? That thing where you cut the onions too big, they won't cook evenly. Something in his tone rubbed me the wrong way. I've been cutting onions my whole life, I think I know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to help. It feels more like criticizing. He put down the spoon he was holding. Seriously, I make one comment about onions and you're getting defensive. It's not about the onions, Ethan, it's about… I stopped, frustrated with myself. I don't know what it's about. Then why are we fighting? I don't know. We stood there in our kitchen, glaring at each other over half-prepared ingredients, and suddenly the absurdity of it hit me. We were fighting about onions. I started laughing. What's so funny? Ethan demanded, but I could see his lips twitching. We're fighting about onions. Our first real fight as a couple is about onions. He tried to stay mad, but then he was laughing too. God, we're ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. I set down the knife and walked over to him. I'm sorry, I don't know why I got so defensive. I'm sorry too, I was being nitpicky. He wrapped his arms around my waist. This is weird, right? Being together, like good weird but still weird. So weird, I agreed, resting my forehead against his. We're basically having to learn how to be friends and boyfriends at the same time. Boyfriends, he repeated like he was testing out the word. Is that what we are? Do you want to be? Yeah, he said softly. Yeah, I really do. We ordered takeout that night instead of finishing dinner, and we started learning how to fight fair, how to communicate when things felt off, how to be patient with each other as we navigated this new dynamic. The second complication came when Ethan's sister visited unexpectedly. Sarah showed up on a Saturday morning, knocking loudly on our door at 9 a.m. I answered in my pajama pants and one of Ethan's hoodies, something I'd been doing more and more lately without thinking about it. Marcus, she pulled me into a hug. Where's my brother? Still asleep, I think. Come in, I'll go wake him. I walked into Ethan's room without knocking, another new habit, and found him sprawled across his bed, face down in his pillow. Ethan, your sister's here. He groaned and rolled over. What, Sarah, why? I don't know, she just showed up. I sat on the edge of his bed. You should probably get up. He grabbed my hand and tugged me down next to him. 5 more minutes. Ethan, she's literally in our living room. So, she can wait 5 minutes, he nuzzled against my shoulder. You're warm. You're ridiculous. You love it. And the thing was, I did. I loved every ridiculous, sleepy, affectionate part of him. Ethan, Marcus, where are you guys? Sarah's voice carried down the hall. We sprang apart like guilty teenagers as she appeared in the doorway. Her eyes went from me to Ethan to the bed we were both sitting on, and I watched understanding dawn on her face. Oh my God, she said slowly. Oh my God, are you too? Ethan and I looked at each other. We hadn't planned this, hadn't figured out how to tell people, but here we were. Yeah, Ethan said finally, we are. Sarah's face split into the biggest grin I'd ever seen. I knew it. I told Mom something was different about you too. The way you talked about Marcus after the breakup, I was like, yeah, that's not how straight guys talk about their roommates. Sarah, Ethan started, but she was already launching into a hug attack, grabbing us both. This is amazing, you're perfect for each other. When did this happen? How did this happen? Tell me everything. We spent the rest of the day telling her the story, well, the edited version anyway. She was thrilled, asking a million questions, already planning how to tell the rest of the family. You know Mom is going to cry, right? She said as she was leaving, like happy tears, but still be prepared. After she left, Ethan turned to me with a slightly panicked expression. We have to tell my parents now. And mine, I said, feeling my own panic rising. Do you think they'll be okay with it? I thought about my parents, progressive, accepting, always asking when I was going to find someone special. Yeah, I think they'll be thrilled, actually, your parents. I think so, I mean, they've always liked you, this just adds a different dimension. He pulled me close. We're really doing this, huh, going public? Seems that way. Good, he said and kissed me soundly, because I'm tired of hiding how I feel about you. Telling our families went better than we expected. My parents were indeed thrilled, my mom crying happy tears and immediately asking about our plans for the future. Ethan's parents took a bit longer to process, but ultimately gave us their blessing, his dad even pulling me aside to tell me he was glad his son had someone who cared about him so much. Our friends were a mixed bag. Some had apparently seen it coming, while others were completely shocked. A few people in our wider social circle didn't take it well, especially some of Ethan's college buddies who suddenly got weird about hanging out with him, but the people who mattered, the ones who really knew us, were supportive. The hardest reaction came from an unexpected source. Claire. I was at work when Ethan texted me. Claire just showed up at my office. Need to talk to her, don't worry. I spent the next 2 hours worrying anyway. When I got home, Ethan was sitting on the couch, looking drained. What happened? She heard about us from someone at her gym, apparently. She wanted to confront me about it. He rubbed his eyes. She said I moved on fast. What did you tell her? The truth, that I didn't move on fast. I fell for someone I'd known for years, that what we have is real, even if the timing might seem quick to her. He looked up at me. She asked if you were the reason I wasn't interested in getting back together. And I told her you weren't the reason. I told her I wasn't interested in getting back together because she cheated on me and broke my trust. You were just the person who helped me see that I deserved better. I sat down next to him. How did she take that? Not well. She got angry, said I was just experimenting, that I'd realize I made a mistake and come back to her. His jaw clenched. She said some pretty awful things about us, about you. Protective anger flared in my chest. Like what? Doesn't matter, they're not true, and I told her as much. He took my hand. I told her this was the most real thing I'd ever felt, and if she couldn't be happy for me, she needed to stay out of my life. Did she leave? Eventually, but Marcus, he hesitated, she's right about one thing, this did happen fast, we've only been together for a few weeks, what if? Don't, I interrupted, don't let her get in your head. But what if she's right? What if this is just me rebounding? What if I'm confused and I end up hurting you? I cupped his face in my hands, making him look at me. Ethan, listen to me. I've known you for 3 years. I've seen you in relationships. I've seen you single. I've seen you at your best and your worst. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the way you look at me now is different from anything I've ever seen before. How do you know? Because it's the same way I look at you. Like you're the first person I want to see in the morning and the last person I want to talk to at night. Like everything is better when you're around. Like I finally understand what home is supposed to feel like. His eyes filled with tears. I'm scared of messing this up. Me too, but I'd rather be scared with you than safe with anyone else. He kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of everything we were both feeling. When we pulled apart, he was smiling through his tears. Okay, he said, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this. 3 months into our relationship, my parents invited both of us for Sunday dinner. It was the first time we'd be there as a couple, and Ethan was nervous. What if they ask about our plans, he said as we drove to my parents' house. Like future plans, we haven't even talked about that yet. Then we tell them we're taking it one day at a time. What if your dad does that thing where he stares at me? My dad likes you, he's always liked you. Yeah, but that was when I was your friend, now I'm your boyfriend who sleeps in your bed, and he stopped, blushing. Your dad is going to kill me. I reached over and squeezed his hand. My dad is not going to kill you, he's probably going to make embarrassing jokes, but no violence, I promise. My parents' house was exactly as I remembered, warm, welcoming, filled with the smell of my mom's cooking. She met us at the door with hugs and immediately pulled Ethan into the kitchen to help her with something, leaving me alone with my dad. So Dad said, settling into his recliner, you and Ethan. Me and Ethan, I agreed. He's a good kid, always liked him. He's terrified you're going to interrogate him. Dad chuckled, I might, it's my job, but Marcus, I can see the way he looks at you, that boy is head over heels. Yes. Oh yeah, the way he watches you when he thinks no one's looking, that's the real deal, son. He paused. You happy? Happier than I've ever been. Then that's all that matters to me. Dinner was chaotic in the best way. My mom had made all of Ethan's favorite dishes. She'd apparently been keeping track over the years. My younger sister, Jasmine, grilled us mercilessly about our relationship, asking increasingly embarrassing questions until Mom told her to knock it off. I think it's romantic, Jasmine said, completely ignoring Mom. Best friends to lovers, that's literally every good romance story ever. You guys are living the dream. Or a sitcom, I muttered. A really good sitcom, Ethan added, and we all laughed. After dinner, while Ethan was helping my mom with dishes, he'd insisted despite her protests. Jasmine cornered me in the hallway. He's really good for you, she said. I've never seen you this relaxed, this happy. I know. Don't screw it up. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Jas. She punched my arm lightly. I'm serious, he's a keeper. Whatever you do, don't let your stupid commitment issues ruin this. I don't have commitment issues. She raised an eyebrow. Marcus, you've dated exactly 3 people in the last 5 years, and the longest relationship lasted 4 months. That's different, they weren't. Ethan, she finished. Yeah, I know, that's my point. This one matters, so don't sabotage it when things get real. Her words stuck with me on the drive home. Ethan was quiet, probably exhausted from the social marathon that was dinner with my family. Your family is amazing, he said finally. Your mom kept telling me embarrassing stories about you as a kid. Oh God, which ones? All of them, I think. My favorite was the time you tried to dye your hair blue with Kool-Aid and it turned green. I was 12 and it seemed like a good idea at the time. He laughed, that warm, genuine laugh that still made my heart skip. I love your family, they made me feel so welcome. They love you too, my mom's already planning Christmas around both of us being there. Really? Really, you're part of the family now, whether you like it or not. He was quiet for a moment. What about your family, Marcus, meeting your boyfriend's family? What about it? Are you nervous? The truth was, I was terrified. Ethan's family was more traditional, more conservative. They'd been accepting when we told them, but meeting them as a couple was different. A little, I admitted. Me too, but we'll do it together. He reached over and laced his fingers through mine, just like everything else. Meeting Ethan's extended family happened sooner than we expected. His grandmother was turning 85 and there was a big family reunion planned. Ethan's parents had already told the immediate family about us, but there would be aunts, uncles, cousins, a whole crowd of people who might not know or might not approve. We don't have to go if you're not comfortable, Ethan said as we packed for the weekend trip. Are you comfortable? Honestly, I'm terrified. My Uncle Richard is super religious and my cousin Bate has some pretty strong opinions about, well, everything. He sat down on the bed looking stressed, but Nana asked specifically if you were coming. She wants to meet Ethan's young man. I smiled at that. Your grandmother called me your young man. She did, and then she told my mom that it was about time I found someone who made me smile like that. Like what? Like I'm the luckiest person in the world. That's because you are, I teased, then grew serious. Ethan, if you want me there, I'm there, whatever happens. The reunion was held at a large park with pavilions and picnic areas. When we arrived, there were already dozens of people milling around, kids running everywhere, adults clustered in conversation groups, the smell of barbecue filling the air. Ethan's hand found mine as we walked toward the crowd, and I saw him take a deep breath. Ready? I asked. With you, always. The first hour was relatively smooth. Ethan's parents and Sarah ran interference, introducing us to people and steering us away from anyone who looked like they might start something. Ethan's grandmother was exactly as wonderful as advertised, a tiny woman with sharp eyes and a sharper wit. So you're Marcus, she said, looking me up and down, the one who makes my grandson glow like a Christmas tree. Nana, Ethan protested, blushing. Hush, I'm talking to your young man, she turned back to me, you treat him right. I try my best, ma'am. Good, because if you don't, you'll answer to me, and I may be old, but I've got a mean right hook, she winked and I couldn't help but laugh. I'll keep that in mind. She pulled me into a surprisingly strong hug. Welcome to the family, Marcus, about time someone appreciated this boy properly. Things got trickier when Uncle Richard approached us near the food table. Ethan, he said gruffly, heard you brought a friend. Uncle Richard, this is Marcus, my boyfriend. The word hung in the air for a moment. Uncle Richard's jaw tightened and I could see him struggling with something internal. Nice to meet you, sir, I said, extending my hand. He looked at my hand for a long moment before shaking it briefly. Ethan's parents told me about you too. I'll be honest, I don't understand it. It goes against everything I was raised to believe. Ethan tensed beside me, but I squeezed his hand gently. That's okay, sir, you don't have to understand it, but I'd appreciate it if you could respect that we care about each other. Care about each other, he repeated, then he looked at Ethan, really looked at him. You happy boy. Yeah, Uncle Richard, I am. Another long pause, then, grudgingly, your grandmother seems to like him and she's a good judge of character. He nodded at both of us. Enjoy the party. It wasn't acceptance exactly, but it wasn't rejection either, it was a start. The real surprise came from Ethan's cousin Bate, the one he'd been worried about. She found us sitting at a picnic table watching the kids play. Ethan, get over here and meet my kids. She had 3 children hanging off her, all under the age of 7. We walked over and she immediately pulled Ethan into a hug, then turned to me. You must be Marcus, I've heard so much about you. Nice to meet you. Listen, I know my reputation in this family. I've said some stupid things in the past, things I'm not proud of. But I've been doing a lot of thinking and learning, and I want you both to know that I'm happy for you, really happy. Ethan looked shocked. Bait, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I've been teaching my kids about love and acceptance, and it would be pretty hypocritical of me not to practice what I preach. She smiled. Plus, I saw how you two were looking at each other earlier, and that's the real deal. Anyone with eyes can see it. Her oldest daughter tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Are you Uncle Ethan? Mommy says you have a boyfriend now. Do you love him? Ethan crouched down to her level. Yeah, sweetie, I do. Like how Mommy loves Daddy. Exactly like that. Cool, and just like that she ran off to play, completely unfazed. Kids, Bate said with a laugh, they make everything so simple. Later, as the sun was setting and people were starting to pack up, I found Ethan sitting alone near the lake. Hey, I said, sitting down beside him, you okay? Yeah, just processing, he leaned against me. Today went better than I expected. Your family loves you, even the ones who don't totally get it. I kept waiting for someone to make a scene, to say something awful, but mostly people were just normal, kind, even. Because at the end of the day, they care about you, and they can see how happy you are. He turned to look at me, his eyes reflecting the sunset. I am happy, ridiculously, stupidly happy, and it's because of you. Right back at you. We sat there as the sky turned from orange to purple to dark blue, surrounded by the sounds of his family packing up and saying goodbyes. And I realized that this was what I'd been missing my whole life, not just love but belonging, being part of something bigger than just the two of us. Everything changed when Ethan got a job offer. It was a dream position, head of marketing for a major firm, great salary, amazing benefits. The only problem, it was in Seattle, 3,000 miles away. He told me about it on a Tuesday night, his laptop open to the offer letter, his face a mixture of excitement and dread. When did you apply? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. 3 months ago. I didn't think I'd actually get it. It was kind of a Hail Mary application. Marcus, this is huge. This is everything I've been working toward. I know, that's amazing, Ethan, really. He closed the laptop. You're upset. I'm not upset. You're doing that thing where you say you're fine but your jaw is clenched and you won't look at me. I finally met his eyes. What do you want me to say? Congratulations on the job that's going to take you across the country. I haven't accepted it yet. But you want to. He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. I don't know what I want. This job is incredible, but it would mean leaving you, leaving us. When do they need an answer? 2 weeks. 2 weeks to decide if our relationship was worth staying for. 2 weeks to figure out if what we had was strong enough to survive long distance or if I'd be willing to uproot my entire life to follow him. The next few days were tense. We were both trying to act normal, but the elephant in the room was suffocating. Ethan threw himself into research about Seattle, looking at apartments, calculating costs. I tried not to feel hurt every time I caught him browsing real estate websites. A week into his deadline, we finally had it out. You've already decided, haven't you? I said. We were in the kitchen, the same place we'd had our first fight as a couple, full circle. What? You're going to take the job, you're just trying to figure out how to tell me. That's not fair, Marcus. Isn't it? You've been researching Seattle like you're already moving there. You talk about the job like it's a done deal. Because I'm trying to figure out if it could work, if we could make it work. And have you figured it out? He slumped against the counter. I don't know, long distance is hard, really hard, and we've only been together for 5 months. Only 5 months, I repeated, the word stinging. Is that all this is to you? You know that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Ethan? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like this job is more important than us. That's not true. Then prove it. Tell me you're not going to take it. I can't do that. The silence that followed was deafening. You can't, I said quietly, because you want to go. Marcus. No, it's fine, I get it. It's a great opportunity, you should take it. Don't do that, don't shut down on me. What do you want from me, Ethan? You want me to be supportive while you leave, want me to smile and wave you off at the airport. I want you to talk to me, to help me figure this out instead of acting like I've already betrayed you. I'm not acting like. I stopped, forced myself to take a breath. You're right, I'm sorry, I'm just scared. His anger deflated. Me too. We stood there in our kitchen, the same kitchen where we'd had our first kiss, where we'd made countless meals together, where we'd learned how to be partners. And for the first time since we got together, I wasn't sure we'd survive this. What if you came with me? Ethan asked suddenly. What? To Seattle. What if you came too? You can work remotely part-time, right? And there are tons of jobs in Seattle for someone with your experience. Ethan, I can't just pick up and move across the country. Why not? Because my whole life is here, my family, my friends, my career. Your career that you complain about constantly, that you've said you feel stuck in. He had a point, but I wasn't ready to admit it. That's not the issue. Then what is the issue? The issue is that you applied for this job 3 months ago when we'd barely been together for 2 months and you didn't tell me. The issue is that you're making huge life decisions without even considering how they affect us. That's not fair. I applied before I knew how serious we'd get. Are we serious, Ethan? Because if we were, you would have told me the second you got the interview. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react exactly like this. Like what? Like someone whose boyfriend is planning to leave. Like someone who's looking for reasons to sabotage what we have. I stepped back like he'd slapped me. Is that what you think I'm doing? I don't know. Ever since this job offer came up, you've been distant, cold, like you're already preparing for us to end. Maybe because I can see the writing on the wall. You're leaving, Ethan. Whether it's Seattle or some other job in some other city, you're going to leave eventually. And I'm going to be the one left behind. That's not true. Isn't it? You've been dreaming about this kind of career opportunity for years. I'm not going to be the person who holds you back from your dreams. What if my dreams include you? His voice cracked. Did you ever think about that? I wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that what we had was strong enough to survive distance and change and all the complications that came with real life. But Jasmine's words kept echoing in my head. Don't let your stupid commitment issues ruin this. Was that what I was doing, pushing him away before he could leave me? I need some air, I said, grabbing my keys. Marcus, don't leave, not like this. I just need to think. I walked out of the apartment and kept walking until I ended up at the park near our building. I sat on a bench and called the one person I knew would tell me the truth. Jasmine. Marcus, what's wrong? I told her everything, the job offer, the fight, the fear that I was losing the best thing that had ever happened to me. Okay, she said when I finished. I'm going to say this with love, but you're being an idiot. That's not helpful. You asked for honesty. Here it is. You're self-sabotaging because you're scared. Ethan gets a job offer and instead of talking to him about how to make it work, you're picking fights and pushing him away. That way, when he leaves, you can tell yourself it was inevitable instead of admitting you didn't fight for what you wanted. That's not. Marcus, I love you, but you do this every time things get real. The second someone gets close enough to actually hurt you, you find a reason to push them away. Don't do that with Ethan, he's too important. What if I ask him to stay and he resents me for it? What if I go with him and it doesn't work out and I've uprooted my whole life for nothing? What if you don't try and spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been? I sat with that for a long time after we hung up. The truth was, I was terrified, not of long distance or of moving or of any of the practical concerns. I was terrified of how much I loved him, of how much power he had to hurt me. But I was more terrified of losing him. I walked back to the apartment to find Ethan sitting on the couch, his head in his hands. He looked up when I came in and his eyes were red. I'm sorry, we both said at the same time. I sat down next to him. I've been an ass. I should have told you about the job earlier. You're right, I was making decisions without considering us, and that's not fair. I've been pushing you away because I'm scared. Scared of what? Of losing you, of not being enough to make you want to stay, of being the person who holds you back from your dreams. I took his hand. But I realized something tonight. I'm more scared of not fighting for us. Marcus. Let me finish. This is hard for me to say. I took a deep breath. I think you should take the job. His face fell. Oh. But, I continued quickly, I think we should figure out how to make it work. Whether that's long distance for a while or me eventually moving out there or some other solution we haven't thought of yet. Because Jasmine's right, I have commitment issues. I push people away when things get real, but I don't want to do that with you. You'd really consider moving to Seattle. I'd consider a lot of things if it meant keeping you in my life. You're it for me, Ethan. I don't think I fully realized that until I thought about losing you. He pulled me into a crushing hug. I don't want to lose you either, and I don't want you to give up your life here unless it's what you really want. Then let's figure it out together, like we should have from the start. We spent the rest of the night talking through options, long distance for 6 months while I explored job opportunities in Seattle. Him negotiating a delayed start date so we could plan properly, me looking into remote work options. None of it was perfect, but it was a start. Thank you, Ethan said as we were getting ready for bed, for not giving up on us. Thank you for calling me out on my bullshit. He laughed and pulled me close. We're going to be okay, right? Yeah, I said, and for the first time in days I believed it. We're going to be okay.